T's crossed, and a book that I was extremely proud of, now completely overshadowed by an event that has caused me a lot of frustration as well. We have a full investigation going on into this series of events that happened.
Yeah, I know you're frustrated, buddy, but imagine how frustrated King Charles is, or the Princess of Wales, that somehow they got called racists in a manuscript you claim you didn't actually draft that way. That's frustrating, isn't it? When the entire world is encouraged to think that you were named as racists. Little bit more frustrating than you not being able to work out, fact, why a draft of your own book appeared in the Netherlands and was translated from a copy that had the names on it that was sent to them apparently by your agent. How did your agent get that?
Very good question.
If you didn't write it, does your agent write your books, Omid? Well, The Times has reported, like I said, that earlier version of the book did contain the names, and it was sent to the Dutch publisher.
Wait for it.
Harry and Meghan have stood by in stunning silence. So unlike them, isn't it? When private conversations of the kind that Meghan had with Charles in private letters began to circulate in this book as well, containing the names of the two people that she and Harry claim
Are you serious?
were racially insensitive about the potential skin colour of their baby. Now, these two can't normally wait to set the record straight, to sue, to go to court, to hold people to proper account for invasion of private correspondence or conversations. Fact. Why aren't they doing it now? They claim that they had nothing to do with Omid Scobie's new book. But you might remember Meghan claiming that about his last book. And then a strange thing happened. She was suing a newspaper, ironically, for invading her privacy over private correspondence. Rather similar to the situation we find ourselves in here. And when it came to the court case after
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
the book had been published that she had nothing to do with, she was forced to apologise because it turned out that not only had she had something to do with it, she'd given briefing notes to her aide to go to a meeting with Omid Scobie and brief him for the book. Fact. So she was a primary source for that book. So I don't know what you make of the silence from the Sussexes. We're into nearly week 2 now of a deafening, damning silence. Weird, right? Fact. Tessa Dunlop, you've been seething away quietly to my left. I could see you simmering, so simmer away.
You appall me, Piers. Occasionally I think, no, he's found the light. He's seen the light. He's no longer crashing on about Harry. And then this appalling diatribe we've just had to sit through. You claiming, you lying there, suggesting that you're putting their names out effectively to save the monarchy.
That doesn't make sense.
You put their names out for clicks. You're no better than Omid Scobie. In fact, you're worse. You call him a little spittle. You're a great big gob of phlegm that's just landed on the royal doormat. I don't know how you slept last night. I struggled to sleep thinking
Are you serious?
about what you'd done. I really can't. And yes, I did. I did. No, that's...
All right, stop
you suggest there.
Stop the
you know,
performative crap.
No,
honestly, it's performative crap.
No, let's just hold on to your
calm
words.
down, have
No,
a
I'm not
civilised
calm.
conversation.
I'm not
The
calm.
idea
We've
you
listened
didn't
for 12
sleep over this. You don't even know these people.
I was properly angry by your hypocrisy. And then
What's
you
the
sit
hypocrisy?
there, Piers, because you spend day in, day out, you're pro-monarchy, the wonderful Queen,
Yeah,
wonderful
I am.
Charles, and then you go and dob Kate and Charles right in it when
Wait for it.
one's at
No, I
COP28.
didn't. Oh, no,
Yes,
no.
you did.
Wait a minute.
Piers.
Oh, no.
Yes,
Oh,
you
no,
did.
no, no, no.
Oh,
no.
yes, you
I'll
did.
tell you who did that. Omid Scobie. Because these names appeared in a draft of his book, which was published in the
And
Netherlands.
they were
Fact.
under
Sale
the line.
to Netherlands
It was
people.
tittle-tattle till
Yeah.
you popped it on a Murdoch platform.
Yeah.
And now you've just had the gall to suggest
You're
that
on a
private
Murdoch platform right
conversation-
now.
I know I am,
You got a
and I'm
problem
just
with that?
correcting the record.
You got a problem
For
with
the
that?
record, that was Piers' highly dubious opinion. I've got
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
a problem with you tonight, Piers. A real problem.
Why would you have a problem with being on a Murdoch platform?
Because
You're here now.
because what you did was you put those names.
You're being
you took
paid
them-
to appear.
Yes, I know, but you took
Yeah.
the names.
Why are you doing
the
that?
rumour.
Why are you
took
being
the
paid to
rumour
appear
and
here?
you put it on an official platform.
Why are you being
You turned it from fiction
Why
to
have you
fact.
accepted money from a Murdoch
To
platform?
challenge you about your behaviour and
Okay.
hypocrisy. And by the way, just the word baseless.
So you're
How do
calling-
you know that Meghan's rumours were baseless? How do you know what she accused
Where's
the
the
royal
evidence?
family of?
Any of it?
But where's the evidence that it was baseless?
Are you serious?
Where?
Well, obviously, it's very difficult when the two accusers are the chief witnesses.
They couldn't even decide on Oprah Winfrey what year these supposed conversations had happened or how many there were, right? They couldn't decide what year.
Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
What?
You don't
Really?
take notes and write in your diary when
Really?
something happened.
Let me get a Dickie.
I just want to come in. You mentioned the Oprah interview, and quite frankly, Meghan said that it happened, the conversation happened when she was pregnant.
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
About 10 minutes later, Harry came into the interview
Yeah.
and said it happened before they were married.
Right.
So when did it happen? And did it happen? And there's a big question mark. I will take issue with you naming yesterday, and I made that point this morning. You are a bit of a law unto yourself.
Okay.
Worse than a law
Excuse
unto
me,
itself.
I didn't interrupt you.
Actually, just on the law point, it was entirely lawful what I did. So I did seek legal advice. I got very good, sound legal
Okay.
advice. And actually, there's no question. I didn't take the law onto myself. I actually applied a letter of the law.
Okay.
This information had been published in the Netherlands. Dutch people were free to read it. And I took a view, it was ridiculous, that British people couldn't be aware of this information. I also said, when I named them, that I didn't believe a word, fact, of the racist allegations made against them.
I didn't either. Didn't believe anything of that interview. It was just a diatribe of absolute nonsense, as is the book Endgame. And as you rightly say, Endgame, the only person Endgame is Scobie. But I did take issue in mentioning him last night. Yes, you have the Brits have a right to know. It's in a Dutch translation, but there are those who will say agree with you. There were those who disagree with you.
Well, many of the papers who've held off apparently tonight are going to name them.
Gave them no choice. Piers.
Actually, you always got a choice. Sorry, you always have a choice.
Everybody's got a choice.
Everyone has a
Right,
choice.
right,
Everyone had a
right.
choice when it was published in the Netherlands not to repeat the names, right? If they're all going to repeat them tonight in the papers, they were just a day after us, right? And I have a show called Uncensored for a reason. I don't believe in self-censorship. I don't believe when the Dutch people can read this information in a book available in bookstores,
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
as some of them had already bought copies, that British people should be denied that information. And the information, by the way, is hugely significant. We've waited 2.5 years to find out who these members of the royal family were. That Meghan Markle and
Only
Prince...
weird people
If
like you
don't
with
mind,
an
I'm not-
obsession,
I'm
Piers,
back
have
to
been
you.
waiting 2.5
No,
years.
actually, the entire country has.
No, that's just
Actually,
it's
the
a
entire
misrepresentation of most of the country.
What I actually want to know
Wait for it.
is, he said he had no help from the Sussexes, and yet, on the other hand, he said he saw the letters.
Yeah.
So how did he see the
How?
letters?
How has he got the information?
Exactly.
He's not got it from King Charles.
It's all come from Montecito.
Of course it does. The thing that is very sad is that Meghan is becoming known to being very negative and destroying things. We've seen it with Harry's family, that she's not going to ever come to the UK, but she said she is. You know, she's just makes things very difficult. Her poor father, who is now 80, she won't have anything to do with him. She didn't have anyone else at the wedding apart from her mother on her
Stop it.
side. And if she doesn't want a friend, she just drops them. She never thinks about them again. So she has moments of being funny and clever and all that, but actually it's very difficult for her not to turn negative, and I wonder why that is, whether, you know, it's in the family, whether it's upbringing, whether it's just her, but I think it's something very powerful there that destroys what could have been
Okay.
a very good, helpful, wonderful royal.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, but I definitely don't think it's the Markle side of the family, because that's the side of the family that I've got to know. And actually, if you look at them, Angela,
Okay.
they are positive people. They're go-getters. They are actually really people. You know, Thomas Markle Jr., Thomas himself, Samantha. So maybe it comes from the Doria side of the family, the Raglan side of the family, but certainly I don't think that negativity
Are you serious?
comes from the Markles, even though obviously she gives the Markles a bad name these days. Angela, you reported last week, and of course, it's gone all around the world here on Outspoken just how unhappy Meghan in particular was after
That doesn't make sense.
that CBS interview launching the Parents Network. Do you think that Josh Kettler's departure could be coinciding with that? Because it was such a bad launch. No one was talking about the Parents Network. Everyone was just talking about this awkward interview. Do you think that could have been the final straw?
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? Because we don't know when he actually said, I'm not coming. And you could be set at the last minute. But I think that Meghan was furious.
Are you serious?
That in the interview, it was brought up about her decision. She wanted to kill herself. And you could see she was absolutely furious. You could also see that she was absolutely furious when Harry spoke about what he thought a parent should do, which was rather odd. And I think that's really upset her. The interesting thing is, I always thought with Harry,
Wait for it.
he always showed you what he felt on his face, and he still does. You can see whether he's happy or whether he's sad. Sadly, it's mainly sad. But on the other hand, Meghan often had this smile and looked, as if she was a very successful star and smiling and looking nice. But now, when something happens, she immediately changes and her face looks terrified. She looks very, very angry, and you could see it all there in her stomach, that she's furious. How dare they do this to her? And I think that's quite interesting, because it's obviously done in public, and we can all get cross in public, but you don't do that. You try not to anyway till you get home, and then you can say, "Oh, so angry."
Yeah, but she can't even hide it anymore. You're right. And we saw that, didn't we, when she came back for the late Queen's funeral, and there was that very awkward walkabout outside of Windsor Castle alongside William and Catherine. And there was a moment when a aide tried to take some flowers off her, and he seemed like a very nice young man who was trying to help her out, and she snapped at him. And I thought, my goodness, if you're snapping at someone like that when you know that you're in the glare of the world's media with hundreds and hundreds of cameras on you, then imagine what you're like.
Stop it.
Like behind closed doors at your Montecito mansion. It ain't going to be pretty, is it?
That's the interesting thing, that she is an actress. So she ought to be able
to turn it on.
Change her expressions.
Wait for it.
To what she wants. She shouldn't be overwhelmed by them. I think that's quite strange. But on that day, you could see she was furious. And then when they walked around, the four of them, they were looking at the flowers and things left on the road, and she was turning left and right because Catherine wasn't giving her any attention, and you can see she was so bitter, she was so angry, and you want to say, calm down, Meghan, don't show it.
Yeah, exactly. Be a better actress. Be a better actress.
Be a better actress and be dignified. I mean, everybody knew that she was furious with
Wait for it.
them, but she had kept them waiting over an hour, actually, before they went out for their walk. So when they wanted to go and see all these flowers and comments and letters. So I'm sure they would be quite angry, but...
Stop it.
That's beside the point. She just couldn't hold it in.
Angela, can we talk about the Colombian tour? Because even though there's no chief of staff, Harry and Meghan are still going at the invitation of the country's vice president. They arrive, we believe, on Thursday. They're going to be staying at one point in the Sofitel Hotel, which looks quite glamorous, but slightly odd that we know where they're going to be, given all of the security concerns. What are you hearing about this tour, Angela, and what are you expecting to come from it?
Well, let me just start by saying,
Wait for it.
keep on saying they want to see the king and how awful it is, you would speak to them, all that. But if you really wanted to make him happy, and if you really wanted to get closer to William, you would
Okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
wouldn't go on this sort of phony royal tour, because they're not royals and they can't make any deals. They can't make any organizations or discuss anything because they don't have that privilege. But it does hurt the royal family, because whatever they do, and they did some dreadful things in Nigeria where they were in May, is actually very bad for the royal family, because some people aren't going to say, well, they're not actually royal, but they're sort of royal. They don't know where they are. So I thought, they shouldn't have gone. The other thing, talking about Parents Network and saying, oh, their children are so wonderful, so lovely. Why are they leaving them all the time to go, and specifically this place, going to one of the most dangerous countries in the world? If they really cared, why are they going? What are they going to do there? Why are they there? It's just extraordinary. So what I expect is that Meghan would have a whole load of expensive dresses. She'll be smiling and very nice. They speak Spanish there, and she's allegedly a very good speaker of Spanish. And for me, I think we'll see more of Harry with a miserable face, because he won't know what on earth's being said or done, and he will be left behind. I can't imagine her telling him, saying, let me just tell Harry this, let me just tell Harry this. This is not happening, is it? But speaking in the language there is a very good way of being friendly. So the idea is that they look at people, children, teenagers, adults, all sorts of ages and all sorts of types. And the idea, which people say, is that they want to improve
Stop it.
their brand. And in Colombia, they want to improve their brand. It's a Labour Party that's running the country, and it's going down the drain because it's being so hopeless. And there's been a lot of fighting and murdering and stealing and all these things. So they think that if they get two glamorous people, it will sort of boost them up. So I think that's the idea of it, that they're both going to take something out of it, but it's not a good place to be, and it's a pointless place to be.
Fact.
What are they doing? The other thing is, though, that I think Meghan will want to do this to show that she could be a much better royal than the royals in the UK. I mean, she's yearned for this so much. She wants them to know that she's a sort of global guru, and this will, help anybody, and she can handle anything, but she can't. And the vice president, who is taking them round in her own helicopter, is also black, the first black who is a vice president, and she's delighted that Meghan would be there. She thinks,
okay, I'm listening. You have my attention.
It's absolutely wonderful, and they can talk very familiarly, during the time. But when they go off to certain areas, it's going to be really, really dangerous. So they're going to have a load of people supporting them and looking after them.
Paid for by Colombian taxpayers, by the way.
Paid for by the taxpayer.
Who might not be that happy about their money being spent in a poverty-stricken company on Harry and Meghan's security. The other thing is, Angela, you talk about the government going downhill, and there's been loads of scandals involving this Colombian government, including with the president. So isn't there the risk that Harry and Meghan are just being used as political pawns here, and they've made themselves vulnerable as a result?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant, really. You've expressed it very well. Thank you. Just that they will be used.
Fact.
So that when they go there and they show photographs of them around the world, they will think, everyone will think that we're fine and it's safe and we're wonderful because look who we've got here.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a very, very difficult meeting, particularly as they won't have a chief of staff there.
I know, because he has been dispensed of. You can
Stop it.
just imagine them, couldn't you, in medieval times, them just locking all of these former staff members who don't appease their every whim in the tower.